Hey boys and girls, welcome back to New Stuff TV, the Untechnical Tech channel. I'm your host, Antoine Snotty Nose and Watery Eyes Richardson, because today my allergies are kicking hard. Okay, they are. Oh man, my allergies are like on fire today. Anybody else got allergy problems? Let me know in the comments section, because it's a brotherhood. We're in this together, bro. Anyways, the show must go on. I gotta work, man, because LG just sent over this new TV. This is the QNED90. Oh man, it's a beautiful TV. I talked about it in the last episode, which you should have watched by now. If you ain't watched that video, then what are you doing with your life? Go back and watch that one, then come back here. Anyways, we're gonna talk about the soundbar that matches it pretty much perfectly. This is the LG S70TY. This thing is coming in at $300. Okay, it's on sale right now. At the time of this video, it's normally $350 or $60 on the LG website. But right now on the LG website, it is $300, which makes it kind of disruptive because you're getting Dolby Atmos. You typically don't get Dolby Atmos around this price point. This is an interesting Dolby Atmos though, because it's 3.1.1, which means you get 3 channels, right? And then you get your Dolby Atmos, that's the one. And then you get the other one, which is the subwoofer in the package. But it is a 7-speaker system in the soundbar. So I don't know how they did that. It's gotta be, it's an interesting configuration, but 7 speakers giving you 3.1.1. Hey, I'm here for it all day because it sounds damn good to me. Now feast your eyes over here at the TV screen, because I do have this hooked up to the LG QNED90T in the 65-inch version. And we're gonna go here to the information panel where we see the sound output, and it says HDMI ARC, and it says WOW Orchestra. WOW is like LG's thing, you know, that's their audio technology. I don't know if it means something, like it's an acronym for something, or it just makes you feel like, wow, that sounded good. But it's their way of giving you that 3D, you know, like that 3D dimensional sound, because it really does sound good. Before we get into that, I want to tell you something that kind of did wow me. This is not an extra wide soundbar. Usually the wider the soundbar, the better you're going to get as far as like the width, the soundstage of your audio. But I guess that wow, it gives you a better soundstage, right? Because this is not the longest soundbar I've ever had in here. It fits right under the TV, in between the feet. The TV has adjustable feet. I've got them spread out pretty wide, or on the widest setting. But this soundbar has a lot of space to wiggle in between those legs. But again, it's not the widest soundbar, but it does project the sound. It gives you like a 180-degree field of audio. I was really impressed by that because I don't have the rears. It does have a rear kit. I wrote it down in my notes. Let me see what that rear kit is called, because it was something that I thought about. It comes in at $199, okay? And it's the SPT8S. So it's a 2-speaker rear surround kit that you'll just plug into the wall. One speaker plugs into the wall, and I'm guessing the other speaker just plugs in via the 2 audio cables, like the stereo wires. You plug those in and put them in the back, and then you got full 360 degrees. But the soundbar itself actually does a fantastic job of projecting that sound and creating like a 180-degree sound field around you, because it really does feel like you have a left and right surround on the side of you. That thing, I don't know, it just does a really good job, especially for it to be a 3.1. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's get into these settings on the WOW Orchestra sound output here. So if you click on that, you can click on advanced settings. Let's just go into that real quick, because there are some things I do want to tell you about as the TV kind of just wakes up. Let me see here. So we do have a Dolby Atmos on and off, and this is the sound output that we're in right now. But there was something I wanted to show you. Where's it at? Let me go up. This is something you're going to want to look at once you actually get yours hooked up. Let's go. Oh, there it is. Sound output. Let's go over to the right. And then this is interesting. So it says use external speakers, which is the soundbar, with the TV speaker. Dude, that's kind of clutch. I love that companies are doing that these days. With if you get like a whole setup where you got the soundbar as well as the TV, they actually talk nicely together. And then you can have the TV as the center channel, or use the TV speakers in conjunction with the soundbar. I'm not sure if the TV is acting as a center channel here. I can't really tell or not. But the TV speakers are playing in conjunction with the soundbar, adding to that already great and wide soundstage. Now, as far as adjusting EQs and stuff like that, I don't see any options here to do anything like that, but via the remote, you can adjust the subwoofer levels. And then I'm guessing if you have the rears hooked up, you can adjust the levels of the rears as well. I can't verify that because I don't have the rears, but you can turn the subwoofer up or down. Should you be getting not enough or too much bass, you can just kind of, put it to your own level there. Now, if you do want to get into a little bit more detail regarding your settings, you can go into the LG Soundbar app, and on the front page, you pretty much have everything you need. You can see I'm connected to the subwoofer there. If I click that, you got that info front and center. Of course, I don't have the rear speakers connected, but if you did, you can just click there and get into it. On the next row, you got a mute button, but then you have your function where you can get into your Bluetooth, USB, HDMI-in, and optical. If I go to the right of that, you can see I have my sound effects. These are presets that you can use, such as AI Sound Pro, Standard, Cinema, Clear Voice Pro, Sports, Music, Game, and Bass Blast. I usually keep mine on Cinema, but I want to show you this. If you go up to the gear up top to the right, you can see I have sound settings there. And then you can get into that. I usually leave my DRC on, that's compression. So I usually leave that, off. I usually leave that off. And then you can actually sync up the lips if the things seem to be out of sync with the actor speaking. But here, settings by speakers. You can get into that, and then you can adjust them by subwoofer level, the center speaker level, or the rears. Or you can even turn the rear surround sound off. But if you go into this little lever up there, you can get into your treble, mid, and bass control. Now, when it comes to audio formats, don't worry about anything, man. They got you covered on this one. This thing does pretty much everything from AAC to Dolby TTS, DTS-X, Dolby Atmos, and all the rest of the formats you can actually think of. So pretty much from watching all your video content and having a great sound around you all the way to just listening to some audio files, you're covered. And I got a little treat for you gamers out there because they actually gave this thing the gamers treatment by supporting VRR and low latency. Also, it supports up to 120 hertz refresh rate. And that's why I say it's kind of like a perfect match to the QNED90T that I talked about earlier. It's just a great match because it does everything the TV, or it supports everything the TV is actually capable of doing. So if you got a PS5, you want to play some Spidey 2 or God of War with that VRR on, you can go ahead and do it, man. And you can have your beautiful picture there and your high refresh rates going and just be immersed in your gaming. Now, as far as the soundbar itself, when it comes to aesthetics for a soundbar, lots of companies have tried to do different things because a soundbar is going to soundbar. It sits there and it's the soundbar. It's just sitting there, right? So you kind of want it to disappear, in my opinion anyway. Some people might want to show theirs off, but in my opinion, you kind of want it to disappear. And that's kind of what this one does, especially if you have it on a stand, if you have your TV on a stand, because it sits right underneath it. They've given it a nice aesthetic to where when you do notice it, you're like, oh, it's not just a block. They actually gave it this little sharp edge in the front. It's almost like a blade, right? But I noticed online they have this bracket that you can put if you mount it on the wall, where you can let it hang directly under the TV just a couple of inches away. And it still looks great with the TV. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It's a soundbar. Nobody wants to see it. Soundbars in your audio system is literally supposed to be heard and not seen. So all that to say, I really like what they did with the aesthetic. It's just a really subdued soundbar. Doesn't take up a lot of space or call attention to your eyes, making the sound that it produces the star of the show. I'm no expert in this kind of stuff, but what I do know is I've actually enjoyed listening to this soundbar while watching, or rewatching, I should say, 6 Underground. Dude, I've showed that clip in my videos like numerous times, but I've only seen it once in its entirety, and this makes the second time. And I listened to it on this soundbar, and it sounded fantastic. The width of this soundbar, not the physical width, because it's really not that wide, but it creates a 180-degree sound field, which sounds fantastic. Now, one last tip before I go, man, the subwoofer. So sometimes you can localize this particular subwoofer. So my advice is to take that subwoofer, because it's wireless. You can plug it in anywhere you want to. I plugged it in my rear right, and then I moved it to the center, and then I moved it to the left, and then I put it up front. So play around with your room when you're placing that subwoofer to a point where you can't really pinpoint where it comes from with your ears. So what I had to do was I had to actually put my subwoofer in the rear center instead of the rear right. And that gave me a much better bass presence in my audio, especially when I was watching something like 6 Underground with explosions and stuff like that. So that's my tip for you. Place that subwoofer. Not everybody's subwoofer configuration is going to be the same. Some rooms just need it in a far front corner, far rear corner, or right in the middle. I don't know what your setup is going to be like. But either way, I'm not an expert in this kind of stuff. Even though sometimes it sounds like I am, I'm really not, dude. I'm just playing around with this stuff just like you. But y'all keep being good to each other, and I'll see you when I see you.